Thanks so much. And I'll just end the meeting when we're done. Okay, great. So welcome, everyone. Just for the recording, I'm going to say that this is a Q&A session for the Recognized Role Weaves topic. And it's February 22nd. And as you know, probably having gotten this invitation, this was going to be a little presentation and Q&A from a small team of people that are working on the Recognized Role Weave system setup. But that team's needing a few more weeks just to get some materials and things together. And so this is just a Q&A from me, and I'm happy to share some information, but mostly to answer any questions that you all have, and we'll just have you direct the flow of information. So if there are any questions, you can either wave or unmute yourself. Yeah, Pedro. And I don't think I introduced myself. I'm Amy Ryan, by the way. I'm on the Implementation Council and working with the Recognized Role Weave setup. So go ahead, Pedro.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can now.
Okay, good. After the first conference call we had, I sent an email. Well, I sent a message to people in Spain who could be interested in recognized roles, and specifically about one. I don't know what will be the last the name of the recognized role, but initially is ambassador of MVC in organizations and companies. And 17 people showed up. They are interested in creating these weaves, and there were many questions and almost no answers on my side. So what I proposed was to create a question basket, and I have several of them.
Great.
So one of them, the first one that I would like to ask is, how will it be, and maybe it's not for this meeting, but you will let me know, how will be the inner way of working in the weave?
Yeah.
There will be some recommendations or some plan how to do it, or will it be free and we are going to create on the go how to work together and how to share experiences, etc., etc.?
That's a great question. So my understanding is that there will be, that's one of the jobs of the Weave coach and the integration trustee to support the Weave, the folks in the Weave, to answer that question together, is how do they want to learn together? How do they want to be engaging together? And so there are some systems that each sorry, I'm just shifting positions, that each recognized role weave is going to be asked to set up. And that's systems like decision-making and governance, like how members will be chosen and onboarded, how they, like a peer learning system, like how do we want to learn together, a feedback system. So those, I can put a link to the document, one second, that talks about all of these things.
Amy, excuse me, can you go a bit slower? Because you're giving some fundamental information and I want to catch it. So please give it again.
Yes, I'd be happy to.
I just sent a message in the chat, Toa, to my colleague Amy, please slow down. In the chat I just sent.
Yes, it's a helpful reminder, even for English speakers and particularly for non-native. So thank you. Yes, so I just put a link in the chat that will take you to the recognized role document. And that document will have a list of different systems. And so those systems are the way that we have designed structurally to answer the question that you're asking, Pedro. How are teams going to be together internally? And so a lot of it's going to be for teams these weaves to decide on themselves, and they can design these systems. How do we want to make decisions together? Each weave can have its own decision-making system. You can decide any way you want. There are some suggestions that you'll see in the link I sent for some examples of what some other communities have chosen to do. And that will be one of the first things that a weave looks at, is how do we want to be together and how do we want to set up these different systems.
Mm-hmm. And the relationship between the weave and the coach and the integration trustee is defined in this document as well, or is something to be defined yet?
Yeah, that document will outline it. The relationship between the weave, the integration trustee, and the weave coach is explained in the weave coach and the integration trustee job descriptions, which is in that document that I sent, which is the recognized role part of the plan. So for other people watching this in the future, if you go to the integrated plan, there's a section on recognized roles, and that's what I'm referring to right now. And so the integration trustee and the weave coaches are a part of the weave. So one weave coach may support several weaves, but they're within the weave. So they're a part of the 360-degree feedback, and they're co-creating the systems with the weave, with the rest of the members.
And they will be participating in the weave meetings, both roles?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And over time, that the weave and the weave coaches and the integration trustees may shift agreements, and they may decide that the weave coach only comes every other meeting, however they want to do it. But the invitation, there'll be a really integral part of the system setup.
Just hold on a minute. I just want to support my colleague, Pedro.
Yes, please.
Jimmy, if you actually touch fingers with every word you speak, it supports me in slowing down. This is a useful speed. And lots of people it will be too slow, but it will make it certainly easier for Toa. Yeah.
Thanks. Okay, thanks.
So with the finger, I'm gone again.
All right, I'll do it. I'll do it down here. I'll do it off screen so it'll distract me otherwise. Toa, I just want to check in with you. How's the speed?
When you started, once again, it was okay, but then it kind of increased gradually. So it's a matter of remembering, I guess.
Yeah, thank you. Pedro, does that answer your question?
Some of them, yeah. I have some more. Do you want me to continue? Good.
Let me just check with Toa or on Iwona if either of them have one, and then I can come back to you. Or
thank you for asking. It might come up, but how are weave coaches assigned and integration trustees assigned?
Yeah.
Is that in the papers that you just shared with us?
So, sort of.
Pardon?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Yes. So there will be the initial weave coaches and the initial integration trustees, the very first ones, we're calling transitional weave coaches and transitional integration trustees. In the plan, in the integrated plan, and the link that I just put in the document or in the chat, that outlines that these integration trustees and weave coaches, the first ones, will be chosen through a sociocratic selection process by the implementation council. So the implementation council will choose through a process that we're starting right now. We're in the midst of working on it. Who the first transitional weave coaches and transitional integration trustees will be. After that, the team of weave coaches and the team of integration trustees that forms, they will start sociocratic selection processes to bring on more weave coaches and more integration trustees. So that part is outlined also in the document. And that may shift over time. Mm-hmm. But initially, integration trustees and weave coaches will be brought on through a sociocratic selection process.
And will you take into account the language? I'm especially interested in Spanish-speaking roles.
Yeah. So I can say that as the implementation council, as we look at, as we're designing this selection process for how to choose the first integration trustees and weave coaches, we'll be looking at where is the demand, where are there teams of people, communities of people who want to become prototype weaves, recognized role weaves. And then we'll do our best to have that inform so if there's a bunch of Spanish-speaking communities, we'll find some integration trustees and weave coaches that speak Spanish, some that speak Japanese or Chinese, or work with people who can use translators. Language and access is the forefront on our mind. We really want to make it accessible to many languages and many different communities around the globe.
Good.
With this first wave. Yeah. Did you have a follow-up question, Toa? I just want to check if that answered your question. You're on mute, Toa.
Okay, I said thank you, and as a first step, yes, I probably have much more questions, but not at the moment. Thank you for asking.
Okay. And Iwona, I want to check in with you.
Hi. So I don't have any specific questions at the moment. I just would like to find out a bit more information about it. I've only found out about the whole process a week ago, and I'm kind of quite new to it. So just would like to listen for now. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, thanks for being with us. If something does come up, let me know.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So back to you, Pedro, if you have more questions.
Yes, several more. What's another question? Because I'm representing a lot of people. And another question is, what's the purpose of the weave? Is that all the participants in the weave get to the recognized role of ambassador in this case? Or and all the people involved in the weave must keep all the time in the weave till everybody else finishes? Or the moment that one person has the recognized role can leave the weave? Curiosity about all these logistic and practical things.
It's a great question. Structurally, there aren't any have-tos in terms of how long somebody will stay in a weave or not. The intention of a recognized role weave, as I'm understanding and as you know, in so many words, is outlined in that document, is to support for teams of people to support each other for integrating the principles and practices of NVC. That's the short version.
Mm-hmm.
And so within that, some people may choose, when I went through certification, I went through with with sort of the prototype. It's the trainer candidate community path that started here in the States with Kathleen McFerrin and Carl Stayert. And this community, there are many people who have been already certified, who are still a part of the community, who just mentor people that we bring in new people every year. So we stay in once we're certified and we mentor. Some people choose not to do that just because of time and energy they want to put other places. And some people don't, they join to become what is now a certified trainer, but it will a different label, a recognized role later. And thanks. And they, for whatever reason, leave before certification or stop coming to meetings or disengage. And that's okay. We try to do that in conscious, mindful, transparent ways, so the community can learn why someone is choosing not to continue showing up.
Okay.
But there's no have to that everyone gets certified or a recognized role, or that everyone stays once they get a recognized role or certified.
Good.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So each weave may choose in the future to, over time, form agreements around accountability to stay in until you're recognized role or not, or how to leave, how long to stay, what kind of mentoring programs they can decide, but there are no have-tos. Yeah.
Sounds good. Thank you. Another question is, if we are 17 people interested, that would mean that we could create 2 weaves. And what would be the relationship between the weaves? Is there anything planned or established?
That would, again, be up to you as the weaves. You may choose to divide based on geography, based on experience level, based on level of interest. If more people want to focus on a particular focus of NVC, or it would be up to you to decide how to divide and what the relationships will be. If you're being supported by the same integration trustee and the same weave coach, that may also impact the level of connection or not. Yeah.
Okay. Another one?
Let me check in with Toa. Toa, do you? Okay. Okay. I'm seeing you shaking your head. I can't hear you. But if you decide you do, just wave your hand.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, great. Great, Pedro.
So another one is, how are we going to guarantee the homogeneity in the criteria to decide who can be a recognized role or not? Are they going to be a minimum request or any other reference?
Sure. That, to me, is one of the core pieces that both the weave as a whole will hold, but more structurally and systemically is the integration trustee. That's really the role that an integration trustee will be looking at. And to begin with, I imagine many integration trustees will use the current certification packet as one of many reference points. They may also use the matrix of liberation and the core commitments documents for some articulated ways of pointing towards different levels of integration. And over time, I can imagine that, so there will be a weave of integration trustees that they will learn from and support each other and give feedback to each other. And they, over time, may discover new ways of supporting this very question that you're asking. And the hope is that some of the collective wisdom from each recognized role weave will also be holding that question. It will be a part of, built into the intention of the weave is to be grappling with, how do we know when what you're integrating and you're calling NVC is what I'm saying is living in me as NVC, and we get to sort of grapple with that together in these weaves, in these peer learning communities. And that to me is one of the beautiful design sort of pieces of this system, is that the collective wisdom gets to be holding that question.
Okay.
Yeah, Toa.
Yeah, I'm realizing I'm not clear about the titles here. When you talk about an integration trustee, what is that in the present network?
That's the closest as we have is an assessor.
That's an assessor.
Yeah.
And what will be a certified trainer then?
A certified trainer in the new system is the most direct link is an NVC ambassador of integration. So there will be different focus areas.
So no, wait. I just wanted, what did you say? Certification ambassador?
An NVC ambassador of integration.
Now, are you talking about the trainer or the assessor now?
Let me start over. An assessor, the direct role in the new system is an integration trustee.
Yeah, I got that.
And a certified trainer will become an NVC ambassador of integration. And in the new system, there will be the option to choose from a list of titles. So for those that prefer the term certified trainer, if you've gone through the process of being recognized as a NVC ambassador of integration, you can choose to continue to use the term certified trainer. There will be a list of pre-approved terms that make sense in different cultural contexts.
Okay. I'm clear. Thank you.
Yeah. And I'm seeing some chats. Yeah. Jayanthi is just noting that there's nothing quite, the link between assessor and integration trustee isn't exact. It's just the closest match we have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. A big difference being that the integration trustee will get 360-degree feedback as part of this being a part of a recognized role weave, which is a bit different than how the assessor, certified trainer, candidate roles interact.
I can't read and listen at the same time. I'm trying to understand Yanti's writing here.
Yeah. I can pause. And
okay.
Yeah, I was just speaking for the recording as well. But if you have any questions on what Janthi wrote, let me know. Great. Pedro, do you have more questions?
Once a person gets the recognized role, will be necessary to continue with any periodical certification process?
Yep, there's right now a request for an annual renewal.
Mm-hmm.
And that may look different from weave to weave, but it will be some sort of feedback process and or celebration process for each person as they renew and celebrate their continued integration of NVC.
Good.
The invitation is annual renewal. I shouldn't say invitation, it's the structural request is an annual renewal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Another question is if there will be a specific time to get the recognized role, a limited time, or it will be completely open?
Completely open.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
These are most of the main questions. The other are very related to this one, so nothing else on my side so far.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Toa, yeah.
So what happens to the report system that we have done to CNVC so far when we have, as a group, which we already do in our group assessments, in my assessment team at least, and then we report what we now call a candidate to CNVC, and there is an administrative procedure. What happens to that? How do we hold it all together? Is there a central point somewhere where, whatever comes up for you when you hear my question?
It's a great question. My current understanding is that each weave will determine who that admin function will be held by. That may likely be the weave coach or the integration trustee. But the decision will be made by the weave collectively. And when the weave announces that someone amongst them is being recognized for a role, they will announce it to the virtual home. There will be a place in the virtual home that they can celebrate and recognize this person. And there will be, similar to there is now, a list of certified trainers. There will be lists of NVC practitioners and lists of the different NVC ambassador categories.
And who is coordinating all of that?
It's a great question. there's not in this moment one person who has been identified, but there will be folks working at the organization, at NVCO, that are a part of the organization, that will be holding some of these administrative pieces, that will be weaves, that will steward some of the virtual home and some of these admin questions. I see Elke, are you wanting to add something?
I wanted to add something small, that the virtual home, with my limited understanding of new digital platforms, a lot of this will be automated. And brace yourself, Tova, there will probably be robots. There's a lot of artificial intelligence coming within the next 10 years. So a lot of these formal processes might be done by technology that I don't even fully understand. I'm working on it at the moment, but it's new. It's really the new technologies. So it's slightly different in 5 to 10 years than I am used to anyway. Complete.
Thanks, Elke. And I would just say, in the meantime, there will be some admin support that will be helping to set up these systems. And that might come from CNVC or other places in the network as they are happening right now.
So then when you say that will be admin by CNVC, what is CNVC then?
Oh, I didn't. So yeah, let me clarify. I'm saying that two things. CNVC will be a weave within, if they so choose, which is the plan, to be a weave within the NVCO, the organization.
Say that again. Say that again. I'm trying to write it down, and so please say it again.
CNVC will be a weave within the new organization. Will be an organizational weave in the new organization.
And who has the copyrights to CNVC?
You mean to Marshall's books and things like that?
No, for the logo and the trademark or whatever.
Yeah, CNVC owns that.
This weave that you are talking about?
The legal pieces, as of right now, yes. And part of what we're doing during this implementation phase is discovering what that, if and how there will be a transition of any of legal ownership. We are in the phase of answering that question right now. There isn't a clear black and white answer yet. So
home is the what you call the CNVC weave dealing with then to sort that out.
So right
is it
now,
the board or I don't know who really.
Yeah,
there
I
are
can
not
answer
that many left. Who is holding it?
So right now, CNVC is not yet a weave. That's a future statement. CNVC is still its own separate nonprofit organization. And the Implementation Council is working closely with the staff and the board of CNVC to answer and co-create the answers to those questions that you're asking.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you. I'm done for now.
Okay, thanks. They're such rich, poignant questions. Yeah. And we are in the midst of living into those answers. Yeah.
Can you give any kind of time plan here? What is decided to happen when and by whom?
So there's, I think, because I'm not sure which part of that question to answer. So I can speak to some of the recognized role timelines, but the timeline of implementing comes in many different layers, and each one has its own projected goals for when we hope it's up and running. For the recognized roles, the Implementation Council hopes to launch the selection process for the transitional integration trustees and the transitional weave coaches in the next few weeks.
So the implementation, no, what did you say? So I hear that something is going to start in a few weeks. A selection process is going to start in a few weeks. And selecting whom?
The very first integration trustees.
Wait. The very first integration trustees.
And the very first weave coaches.
Okay.
Yep. So right now we are working on the criteria for that selection process and the job descriptions to articulate the job descriptions for those roles so that people can be informed when they nominate either themselves or someone else to be in one of those roles. Does that make sense? Does that answer your question?
It answered my question. I don't know if it makes sense yet.
Is there a way I can support clarity?
Not at the moment, thank you.
Yeah. I have a lot of care. Yes, sorry. I just saw Elke, a question from Elke. Is it a sociocratic process? Yes, I said earlier in the call a few times, but I'll repeat it, that it's a sociocratic selection process. Yeah. And I just want to say I have a lot of care for the impact of the new verbiage and the new words has on the learning curve. I'm hearing from you and others it can be confusing and a little frustrating. I appreciate you hanging in there with us. Yeah. Pedro, I saw your hand.
Yeah, I wanted to ask, these roles with coach and integration trustee will be paid? And how? Do we know anything about that?
These are great questions. I know I keep saying that, but they're so good. So yes and no. There is no structural NVCO the organization isn't set up to right now to structurally to pay integration trustees or weave coaches. However, there is the hope that through the economic system, which is one of the systems that each weave will set up, that together they will decide how they want to compensate the weave coaches and integration trustees. And so the weave collectively will decide how they want to answer that question. In addition, we're looking at, in order to address issues of access and some communities not having a way in some parts of the world to pay the integration trustees and weave coaches, that there will be some fundraising weaves and resource allocation weaves that are looking at this question to determine how we can take resources possibly from some parts of the network that have more resources and funnel them to weave coaches and integration trustees doing work in parts of the world where there aren't those resources to be paid from, so that it's not just reliant on the members of a weave to pay an integration trustee and weave coach. However, what that looks like is yet to be determined. We haven't structurally set it up yet. And we hope that some of the first weave coaches and integration trustees and prototype recognized role weaves will be looking at these questions and collectively discovering the answer and co-creating the answer together. Yeah.
Thank you.
I wonder if there are any other questions. If not, I think I'll just say in closing that the team that was going to be on the call today that will be presenting a bit more on the selection process and the nomination piece for the integration trustees and weave coaches on the next call. That may be launched over email to the network beforehand, and maybe not. Some of that is yet to be determined by timelines and people's schedules. And we'll also be in some form sharing about some materials that have been developed, mostly by Carl Steyert, that will be a handbook for setting up these recognized role weaves. That will be a support guide to setting up these systems that will help that will help weave coaches, but it will be accessible to everyone. Everyone will have access to it.
Can you please clarify the dates? This was supposed to be a different meeting than it turned out being. And this particular meeting then, when will that take place?
This one, the next one will be March 14th.
I read somewhere March the 3rd. What meeting is that?
That's likely a meeting hosted by Elke or Uma. Are you there? Can you speak to that?
I'm here. I just need to quickly log in my diary, so I will disappear.
Okay.
I'm guessing that's probably a community call. Let me just have a
Yeah.
look. Was the date the 3rd of March?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. No, it's not one of mine. I have one on the 11th of March.
Okay, I did see something in an email, but now you are telling me the 14th, the same time as today?
It will be at 17:30 UTC, an hour earlier.
Okay.
I believe. Yeah.
So that would be 6 o'clock for us, Toa.
Oh, it's 6 o'clock.
30, but it's at the half hour.
Oh, sorry. So it's at 5:30 UTC, so 6:30 for
Okay, I got it.
Holland. Yeah.
I got it, okay. Okay. No more questions.
Thanks. How about you, Pedro?
No more questions, and thank you for your clarity in the answers. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And thank you for all the work you're doing, because I assume it takes a lot of time and effort to work on all these definitions, etc., etc. Thank you all, Elki and Uma as well.
Yeah.
And Jayanti.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for being here and for your interest and enthusiasm and telling us about these 17 people in Spain. It really is, it feeds us to know that there are people out there who are excited and want to be a part of this new experiment. It really means a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, I also want to thank you, and I appreciate that you call it an experiment.
Yeah, we'll learn together.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks, Toa. Thanks, Pedro. Thanks, Uona. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Whee! Celebration.
Stop recording now, or?
Yeah, you can stop the recording. You can